Hello and welcome to this new video. So in this video we will see 150 question and answers to prepare for PL-300 exam, which is Power BI Data Analyst. So before going to the questions, I request you to kindly subscribe to my channel if you've not already done so. So let's jump on to the questions. So question number 1. In Power BI, calculations that take a large quantity of numbers and distill them down to a single value that represents the group are called, and we have four options. Option A, aggregations. Option B, aggregates. Option C, measures. And option D, summations. So the right answer here is option A, aggregations. The calculations in Power BI, like the sum we just used, are actually called DAX, or data analysis expressions. And the simplest and most recognizable ones are our old friends from Excel: sum, average, min, max, count, etc. These types of calculations that take a whole bunch of numbers and distill them down to a single value that represents the group are called aggregations. So question number 2, in the Power BI, the dash refers to the charts and graphs, filters and slices, and all other visual elements that are used to display business measures and make that data easily consumable. And we have four options. Option A, transformation. Option B, dataset. Option C, visual. And option D, graphic. So the right answer here is option C, visual. So the first Power BI component we will be discussing, and arguably the most identifiable, is the Power BI visual or visualization. These are the charts and graphs and filters and slices and all other visual elements that are used to display business measures and make that data easily consumable. Question number 3. Which type of Power BI visual show the relationship of parts to a whole and draws your eye to the center of the visual? We have four options. Option A, donut chart. Option B, column chart. Option C, pie chart. And option D, scatter plot. So the right answer here is option C, pie chart. Let's start off with our old friend, the pie chart. The pie chart shows the relationship of parts to a whole, while pie charts draw the eye to the center, and your brain will work to calculate the area of each slice. The donut chart allows your eye to be drawn to the circumference, and no area calculations are needed by your brain. Question number 4. In Power BI, a dash is a custom calculation that is not actually part of a table, but which can be used with any data in the table or related to the table. And we have four options: service, query, measure, calculated column. So the right answer here is option C, measure. We can also create what is called a measure, which is a custom calculation you can create for your dataset. Measure sit on the sidelines, so to say. They are not actually part of the table, but they sit on the side and can be used with any data in the table or related to the table. So question number 5. One of the biggest advantages of a dash in Power BI is that it lets you identify outliers. And we have four options: donut chart, column chart, pie chart, and scatter plot. So the right answer here is option D, scatter plot. So one of the scatter plot's biggest advantages is that it lets you identify outliers. Question number 6. In the Power BI visualization span, the dash area usually segments your data by color and the dash area segments your data by shape. So we have four options. Option A, legend axis. Option B, axis transform. Option C, values visuals. And option D, transform legend. So the right answer here is option A, legend axis. If I wanted to see the gross sales separated by channel, I might drag channel into the legend area or the axis area. The legend area usually segments your data by color, and then the axis area segments your data by shape. Question number 7. To share a Power BI dataset, the data person must first publish their report in Dash. And we have four options. Option A, their Power BI workspace. Option B, the Power BI service. Option C, Power BI desktop. And option D, their Power BI dashboard. So the right answer here is option B, the Power BI service. To share a data set, the data person must first publish their report in the Power BI service. Question number 8. Power BI allows you to easily find and install custom visuals that have been created by Microsoft and community members and shared with the Power BI community via the Dash tab. And we have four options. Option A, App Source, App Store, Community, Custom. So the right answer here is option A, App Source. So Power BI allows you to easily find and install custom visuals that have been created by Microsoft and community members and shared with the Power BI community via the App Source tab. Question number 9. The syntax used to donate a table in a Power BI formula is dash. And we have four options. Option A colon. Option B, a single quote. Option C, a double quote. And option D, a semicolon. So the right answer here is option B, a single quote. The syntax used to donate a table is a single quote or apostrophe. So question number 10. Power BI Dash is an application installed on a computer that allows you to build visuals, query data, publish reports to the cloud, and more. And we have four options: integrated, desktop, service, app source. So the right answer here is option B, desktop. Power BI Desktop is an application installed on a computer. It contains the full featured report area where we have been building visuals in this course. It also contains the full featured data querying system, which you can access using the data tab, and a modeling and a relationship engine, which you access using the modeling tab. And of course, you can publish these reports by pushing them up to a cloud area where other people can view them, which is usually the Power BI service. Question number 11. The Dash tab in the Power BI interface is the main place where visualizations are created and arranged. And we have four options. Option A, model. Option B, visual. Option C, report. And option D, data. So the right answer here is option C, report. The reports tab is the default and it's where you see the canvas. This is the main place where visualizations are created and arranged, and it's where we have been working so far in this course. But the other steps are very important and we will be spending plenty of time on these in the course as well. Question number 12. In Power BI's Power Query, you can create new queries by clicking on dash. And we have four options: new source, new query, import, transform. So the right answer here is option A, new source. If we were back in regular Power BI, we would find the same button as last time, but now we are in a Power Query. So within Power Query, we can create new queries by clicking on new source. Question number 13. In Power BI, dash are the standard for comparing series to each other. And we have four options: donut charts, column charts, pie charts, and scatter plots. So the right answer here is option B, column charts. Column charts are the standard for comparing series to each other. Question number 14. In Power BI's Power Query, the dash option for combining two data sets into one pastes the new data at the bottom of the existing data. And we have four options: match, insert, merge, append. So the right answer here is option D, append. Merge acts like a VLOOKUP. If you're familiar with that, matching raw data between two tables and adding the data in as a new column on the right hand side. Append, on the other hand, assumes your columns are similar enough that it can just paste the new data at the bottom of the existing data. Question number 15. In Power BI, the dash area for a visual is where you should place the calculated data. And we have four options: data, legend, axis, values. So the right answer here is option D, values. Most visuals will also have a values area. If you are familiar with Excel pivot tables, this operates like the values field area in pivots table. But if you're not familiar, then essentially the values area is where you should place the calculated data. Question number 16. In which view of Power BI desktop can you preview the data that has been loaded? And we have four options: data view, model view, query view, report view. So the right answer here is option A, data view. There are three viewing options. One is the data view. At the moment, I have financial year actually selected. This is where you can preview the data that has been loaded and you can see that everything has pulled through. Question number 17. In Power BI, error values in data dash. And we have four options. Option A, are loaded as other. Option B, prevent queries from loading. Option C, are loaded as blank values. And option D, are loaded as NA, not applicable. So the right answer here is option C, are loaded as blank values. So error values don't prevent queries from loading, but the error values are loaded as blank values. Question number 18. The data profiling feature of Power BI Desktop sits in the dash function. And we have four options: Power Pivot, Power View, Power Map, and Power Query. So the right answer here is option D, Power Query. The data profiling feature was introduced in Power BI Desktop in April 2019 and it sits in the Power Query function. Question number 19. In Power BI, the dash number refers to how many different values there are in a column once duplicates are excluded. And we have four options: regression, distinct, cardinality, unique. So the right answer here is option B, distinct. The distinct number refers to how many different values there are in a column once duplicates are excluded. So question number 20. Enabling dash in Power BI Power Query will show how many distinct and unique items each column contains, as well as the distribution of these in the form of a column chart under each header. And we have four options: column analysis, column distribution, column quality, and column profile. So let's see, the right answer here is option B, column distribution. When I enable column distribution in Power Query, this will show me how many distinct and unique items each column has, as well as the distribution of these, which you can see in the form of a column chart under each header. Question number 21. Fill in the blanks. In a Power BI table column, the dash distinct and the dash unique items are in a column, the higher the cardinality. So we have four options. Option A, fewer, fewer. Option B, more and more. Option C, more and fewer. Option D, fewer and more. So the right answer here is option B, more, more. The more distinct and unique items we have in a column, the higher the cardinality, whereas low cardinality is achieved when we have fewer distinct items, but more of them. The question number 22. In Power BI, column dash includes characteristics like count, error, empty, distinct, unique, zero, min, max, and average. So we have four options: qualities, charts, statistics, analytics. So the right answer here is option C, statistics. In column statistics, you can see statistics like count, error, empty, distinct, unique, zero, min, max, average, standard deviation, even, and odd. The column statistics provide are different for number and text columns. Question number 23. In which view of Power BI Desktop can you view the relationship between tables? And we have four options: data view, model view, query view, report view. So the right answer here is option B, model view. Question number 24. In Power BI, column dash shows the number of valid, error, and empty cells in a column. And we have four options: quality, profile, distribution, analysis. So the right answer here is option A, quality. Column quality showed the number of valid, error, and empty cells in a column. Question number 25. Fill in the blanks. To use data profiling in Power BI, in Power BI Desktop, select dash, then in Power Query, select dash. So we have four options. Option A, data profiling, column. Option B, data profiling, profile. Option C, transform data view, and option D, column quality, column distribution. So the right answer here is option C, transform data view. Data profiling is useful for understanding your data. In Power BI Desktop, select Transform Data, then in Power Query, select View. So question number 26. In Power BI, dash shows the shape of the data, whether the distribution of values is uniform or if some values appear more frequently than others. So we have four options: column charts, column profiles, cardinality indicators, and query maps. So the right answer here is option A, column charts. The column charts show the shape of the data. You can see whether the distribution of values is uniform or if some values appear more frequently than others. Question number 27. In Power BI, the dash number refers to how many values occurs exactly once. And we have four options: regression, distinct, cardinality, unique. So the right answer here is option D, unique. The unique number shows me how many value occurs exactly once. Question number 28. A Power BI report is saved with a .dash file extension. And we have four options: BI, PBIX, PBI, and PB. So the right option is option B, PBIX. The Power BI report is saved with a .pbix file extension. Question number 29. In a Power BI, by default, column profiling is based on, and we have four options. Option A, the top 100 rows. Option B, all the rows in the table. Option C, the top 1000 rows. And option D, the bottom 100 rows. So the right answer here is option C, the top 1000 rows. If you go to the bottom of the screen, it is important to also note that the column profiling is based on the top 1000 rows. This means it is just doing a simple sample of the rows. So question number 30. Which of the following choices is not an option in the viewing section of Power BI Power Query? And we have four options: column profile, column quantity, column duplication, column distribution. So the right answer here is option C, column duplication. In the viewing section of Power Query, you have three options you can select. These are column quality, column distribution, and column profile, and we'll be showing you the use and benefits of each of these. Question number 31. In which Power BI storage mode will the result of a join that involves a dual mode table and a direct query table be pulled from the direct query source? And we have four options: single, dual, direct query, import. So the right answer here is option B, dual. Dual mode will copy the data from the original source into Power BI, just like import mode. If the dual mode table is involved in a join with the direct query table, then the result of that join will be pulled from the direct query source. So question number 32. When specifying a data source in Power BI, which of the following method is not a way to specify the default SQL Server instance on your own computer? And we have four options. Option A dot, option B 127.0.0.1, and option C the name of your PC, and option D /local. So the right answer here is option D /local. As an insight, you can specify the default SQL Server instance on your own computer with either localhost or 127.0.0.1, the name of your PC, or as I have done here, a simple dot. Question number 33. Custom tables in Power BI are dashed to avoid naming collisions. And we have four options: prefixed, auto-generated, automatically named, and suffixed. So the right answer here is option A, prefixed. Custom tables are prefixed to avoid naming collisions. Question number 34. Which of the following statements about Power BI data flows is false? And we have four options. Option A, data flows result in consistent transformations as they ensure one version of the truth. Option B, data flows are set up through SQL Server Management Studio. Option C, data flows result in organization-wide time saving as the report authors don't have to reinvent the wheel by performing the same transformations on the original data. Option D, a data flow is a series of transformations that result in a dataset designing for reporting. So the right answer here is option B, data flows are set up through SQL Server Management Studio. A data flow is a series of transformations as an ETL process that result in a dataset designed for reporting. These results in organization-wide time saving as report authors don't have to reinvent the wheel by performing the same transformations on the original data. It also means that the transformations are consistent as the data flow ensures one version of the truth. We set up a data flow through the powerbi.com portal. So question number 35. What is the default storage mode for Power BI? And we have four options: single, dual, direct query, import. And the right answer here is option D, import. The default storage mode for Power BI is import. This means that a copy of the source data is pulled into Power BI and stored in the native Power BI format. Question number 36. When setting up a Power BI data flow, if you have lots of files in your container, you can use dash to select the files you are interested in. And we have four options: container profiling, file shortcuts, prefixing, column filtering. So the right answer here is option D, column filtering. I'm presenting with the typical data import navigation window. This window is for selecting a container within your storage account. And as I have only one container, there is nothing to do here except click transform data. The next window shows just the branch targets container in the Power Query editor that we are familiar with. If you have lots of files in your container, you can use column filtering like the file extension to select the files you are interested in. Question number 37. Combining direct query and imported tables in one data model is called a dash model in Power BI. And we have four options: imported direct, complex, dynamic, composite. So the right answer here is option D, composite. Combining direct query and imported tables in one data model is called a composite model. So question number 38. In Power BI under Dash, you can connect to Power BI datasets, data flows, and a data vars. And we have four options: Power Platform, Power Query Editor, XMLA, Live Connection. So the right answer here is option A, Power Platform. Under Power Platform, you can connect to Power BI datasets, data flows, and a data vars. Question number 39. A Power BI XMLA endpoint must be set to Dash so that you can issue commands from your client application. And we have four options: read only, read write, write only, execute. So the right answer here is option B, read write. So before connecting SSMS, let's check a few settings within the admin portal. Under premium per user, I'll make sure my XMLA endpoint is set to read write so that I can issue commands from my client application. Question number 40. Importing data into a local Dash file is Power BI's default behavior and storage mode. And we have four options: PXML, XMLA, PB, and PBIX. So the right option here is option D, PBIX. So importing data into a local PBIX file is Power BI's default behavior and storage mode. The PBIX file is a native format of the Vertipack database engine, which is highly optimized for small size and fast performance. Question number 41. Power BI XMLA endpoints Dash, and we have four options. Option A will only work for Power BI or cube formatted datasets. Option B can be used by any level of Power BI user account. Option C allow you to connect to your online workspaces from within Power BI. Option D connect you to a database server when you connect to them. So the right answer here is option A, will only work for Power BI or cube formatted datasets. An XMLA endpoint is a URL that enables you to access Power BI datasets within your online workspaces. XMLA endpoints will only work for Power BI or cube formatted datasets. To use the XMLA connector, you must be subscribed to Premier Power BI or Premier per user. When you connect to the XMLA endpoint, you are connecting to analysis service, not a database server. Question number 42. Dash endpoints enable the use of Power BI datasets by non-Power BI client applications. And we have four options: Power Query Editor, Data Flow, Data Vars, XMLA. So the right answer here is option D, XMLA. So XMLA endpoints that enable the use of Power BI data sets by non-Power BI client applications. So question number 43. When you connect to an existing Power BI dataset, that dataset becomes Dash. And we have four options: shared, diverse, dual mode, live. So the right answer here is option A, shared. So when you connect to an existing Power BI dataset, the dataset becomes shared. That is, your reports are sharing the dataset with other reports. Question number 44. When you are connecting to a Power BI XMLA endpoint, what is the server name? And we have four options. Option A, XMLA. Option B, the XMLA URL followed by a / followed by the name of the client application. And option C, the XMLA URL Option D, the name of the client application. So the right answer here is option C, the XMLA URL. So when you connect to the XMLA endpoint, you're connecting to analysis service, not a database server. The server name is the XMLA URL, and I'm connecting with Azure Active Directory with MFA. Question number 45. When you're setting up a Power BI data flow involving an Excel sheet, the data within the Excel sheet needs to be defined as a, and we have four options: table, workbook, sheet, schema. So the right answer here is option A, table. The data within the Excel sheet needs to be defined as a table, which involves selecting the data in Excel and using the Control plus T shortcut. Question number 46. In Power BI's Power Query Editor, a filled data type shown as dash means a whole number or integer. And we have four options: 0 to 9, int, whole, and 123. So the right answer here is option D, 123. So on the left side of the column headers, the fields data type is shown. 1, 2, 3 means a whole number or integer. 1.2 means a numeric or decimal value. ABC is a string or text value, and the calendar and clock icon means a date or time value. The cross and tick means the field holds boolean or true or false values, while naturally enough the dollar symbol represents the money data type. Question number 47. In Power BI's Power Query Editor, column header shown the field's data type and overall validity or invalidity within a graphic under the column header. So we have four options: scatterplot, histogram, pie chart, stacked bar. So the right answer here is option D, stacked bar. So column headers show the field's data type and overall validity are not with a stacked bar graphic under the column header. So question number 48. In Power BI's Power Query Editor, a field data type shown as dash means a boolean value. And we have four options. Option A calendar and a clock icon. Option B, true or false. Option C, a cross and a tick icon. And option D, boolean. So the right answer here is option C, a cross and a tick icon. On the left side of the column headers, the fields data shown type is shown. 1, 2, 3 means a whole number or integer. 1.2 means a numeric or decimal value. ABC is a string or text value. And the calendar and clock icon means a date or time value. The cross and tick icon means the field holds boolean or true or false values, while naturally enough dollar symbol represents the money data type. Question number 49. In Power BI's Power Query Editor, a field data type shown as dash means a date or time value. And we have four options. Option A calendar and a clock icon. Option B, date. Option C, date time. And option D, a cross and a tick icon. So the right answer here is option A calendar and a clock icon. Question number 50. In Power BI, Power Query Editor is available through the dash menu. And we have four options. Option A, transform, query, analyze tools. So the right answer here is option A, transform. Power Query Editor, available through the transform menu, accesses each column's data on validity, emptiness, correctness, and distribution, graphically displaying the results. Question number 51. In Power BI, clicking on the little down arrow on the right side of a column header will display, and we have four options. Option A, the primary key of the table. Option B, the relationship between that column and columns in other table. Option C, the data type of that column. Option D, a list of unique values within that column. So the right answer here is option D, a list of unique values within that column. We can click on the little down arrow on the right of the column header, and that will display a list of unique values within that column, giving us the ability to filter rows based on selected values. Question number 52. In Power BI's Power Query Editor, turning on column dash displays a histogram graphic with a count of distinct and unique values. And we have four options: analysis, detail, distribution, quality. So the right answer here is option C, distribution. Turning on column distribution displays a histogram graphic with a count of distinct and unique values. Question number 53. In Power BI's Power Query Editor, column dash lets you apply filters and replace values directly from the graph. And we have four options: analysis, statistics, profiling, distribution. So the right answer here is option C, profiling. So in addition to more detailed column stats, column profiling also lets you apply filters and replace values directly from the graph. Question number 54. Dash strongly enforce data types. And we have four options: databases, text files, spreadsheets, websites. So the right answer here is option A, databases. Databases enforce data types, while text files, spreadsheets, and some data streams either don't type data or their data typing could be described as loose. Question number 55. In Power BI's model view, table relationships will be depicted where they exist in the data source except in the case of dash. And we have four options. Option A, compound keys. Option B, foreign keys. Option C, abnormal distribution. And option D, filtering. So the right answer here is option A, compound keys. In Power BI's model view, table relationships will be depicted where they exist in that data source except in the case of compound keys. So question number 56. Which of the following statements about fact data and dimension data in Power BI is false? And we have four options. Option A, fact data is usually calculable. Option B, fact tables contain categories and subcategories, locations and business channels, client areas and employees involved in the dimensions events. Option C, each cluster of dimension data gets into own table. Option D, we tend to have multiple dimension tables in a schema. So the right answer here is option B, Fact tables contains categories and subcategories, locations and business channels, client areas, and employees involved in the dimension events. Question number 57. In Power BI, Dash is the process of taking a bunch of numerical data points and measuring them in a way that produces a single numerical representation of all that data. And we have four options: generation, reporting, querying, aggregation. So the right answer here is option D, aggregation. So aggregation is the process of taking a bunch of numerical data points and measuring them in such a way that it produces a single numerical representation of all that data. Question number 58. Which of the following statements about Power BI is false? And we have four options. Option A, each table has its own level of granularity defined by its smallest measurable increment. Option B, there can be multiple active relationships between two tables at any given time. Option C, a highly granular data model means that you can see lots of minute details. Option D, in a data model with low granularity, you see few details and focus more on the bigger picture. So the right answer here is option B. So I'm switching to a model view and dragging and dropping product name on product name, and I click OK, and now it appears as a dotted line. This is because it's an inactive relationship, and it's an inactive relationship because there can only be one relationship between two tables at any given time. High granularity means that you can see lots of minute details, while low granularity means you see fewer details and focus more on the bigger picture. Each table will have its own level of granularity too, defined by its smallest measurable increment. Question number 59. Which statement about cross filters in Power BI is false? And we have four options. Option A, the single cross filter direction allows filters on the one table to flow to the many table in one-to-many relationships. Option B, the single cross filter direction is generally discouraged as it can potentially cause problems. Option C, single cross filtering is the default cross filter direction for one-to-many relationship. Option D, in single cross filtering, the many table does not have any impact on the one table in a one-to-many relationship. So the right answer here is option B. Question number 60. To combine multiple tables into a single table in Power BI, use the dash tool in the query editor. And we have four options. Option A, report, append, combine, query. So the right answer here is option B, append. Question number 61. Which Power BI relationship cardinality describes the situation where in one or two related tables we see a channel listed only once, but in the other table we see the channel listed many times? And we have four options. Option A, many to one, one to many. Option B, many to many. Option C, one to one. And option D, end to end. So the right answer here is option A, many to one, one to many. The many to one and one to many cardinalities describes twins scenarios. If we have two tables being related, in one of these tables we are going to see the channel listed only once. The other table we are going to see the channel listed many times. Question number 62. In Power BI, which DAX function identifies the oldest and the newest dates in a model and populates a calendar between them. We have 4 options: date, calendar auto, calendar, date table. So the right answer here is option B, calendar auto. Question number 63. In Power BI, the dash schema can ignore the irrelevant data in the model while running a calculation. And we have 4 options: star, dimension, aggregation, flat. So the right answer here is option A, star. The star schema can ignore the irrelevant data in the model while running a calculation. Question number 64. In Power BI, the dash relationship type describes a scenario in which table A has parent values for which there are multiple children in table B, and those same children can act as parent in table B, having multiple children in table A. So we have 4 options: many to one, one to many, option B, many to many, option C, one to one, and option D, n to n. So the right answer here is option B, many to many. The many-to-many relationship type describes a scenario in which table A has parent values for which there are multiple children in table B, and those same children can act as the parents in table B, having multiple children in table A. Question number 65. A Power BI dash describes a collection of data brought together and made relatable so that analysis can be performed. And we have 4 options: data model, a report, schema, table. So the right answer here is option A, data model. A Power BI data model describes a collection of data brought together and made relatable so that analysis can be performed. Question number 66. Which of the following statements about data models in Power BI is false? And we have 4 options. Option A, every column that isn't needed should be removed from your data model. Option B, too many tables can sometimes cause functional issues. Option C, data models that have more tables are easier to navigate. Option D, too many tables can sometimes lead to report inaccuracies. So the right answer here is option C, data models that have more tables are easier to navigate. Data models that have fewer tables are just easier to navigate, and also too many tables can sometimes cause functional issues or even lead to report inaccuracies. Every column that isn't needed should be removed from your table data model because every column adds a data point for every row in that data set. Question number 67. In a Power BI star schema, dash data is all the details that describes the fact data, and we have 4 options: star, dimension, aggregation, flat. So the right answer here is option B, dimension. Fact data is a list of events that drive a business process. Dimension data, on the other hand, is all the details that describes the fact data. Question number 68. Which of the following statements about data models in Power BI is false? And we have four options. Option A, the way the relationships between different data are defined is extremely important as it has various downstream impacts. Option B, most of the time Power BI is able to determine the relationships between different data automatically. Option C, most data models require logical relationships to be established. Option D, data models often include data from various different sources. So the right answer is option B. The data models often include data from various different sources. Because the data often comes from different sources, most data models require logical relationships to be established between the data sources so that data from those different sources can be analyzed together. Most of the time, we will need to define a program, the relationships between the data ourselves, and the way we define these relationships is extremely important as it has various downstream impacts. Question number 69. In Power BI, bidirectional cross-filtering is referred to as, and we have four options: multiple, both, one-to-many, single. So the right answer here is option B, both. But there are cases when you might need filters to be able to flow upstream. If you will, the bidirectional cross-filtering is referred to as both in Power BI. Question number 70. In Power BI, which DAX function allows you to define the oldest and the newest dates in a model and populates a calendar between them? And we have four options: date, calendar auto, calendar, date table. So the right answer here is option C, calendar. So every once in a while, you will end up with a calendar starting in 1901. So it's good to know how to define the outside dates when you need to. This time we will use calendar. I'll type in the year and month and the day of the start date, and let's do the end date in the same way and press enter. Great, now you have a custom calendar. Question number 71. In the Q&A feature in Power BI, you can define and manage dash referring to your data model. And we have four options: tables, functions, filters, synonyms. So the right answer here is option D, synonyms. Clicking on the gear icon in the report designer allows me to customize the Q&A feature, or I can click on add synonymous now to go straight to the tab in the Q&A setup option. Back in Power BI desktop in Q&A setup, clicking on the review questions tab displays user's question. So to implement a requested fix, click on the pencil icon in the fix needed column. These will take us to the teach Q&A tab where the unknown term is highlighted in the enter a question about your data using everyday language text field. Underneath that, in the define the terms Q&A didn't understand section, find the field the new term refers to and click save. Manage terms displays terms and definitions that have already been taught to Q&A. Question number 72. Which DAX function can be used to return a specific level of hierarchy? And we have four options: patch, hierarchy, path item, item. So the right answer here is option C, path item. So path items takes two mandatory parameters. The first is the text path describing the hierarchy, and the second is the level we want to be returned. Question number 73. What is the first parameter in the DAX function lookup value? We have four options. Option A, the name of the field you are interested in. Option B, the value you want to match on. Option C, the field with the value you are searching for. Option D, the table in which to look. So the right answer here is option A, the name of the field you are interested in. Lookup value takes three parameters: the name of the field you are interested in, the field with the value we are searching for, and the value we want to match on. Question number 74. Which value for the type parameter in the DAX function path item indicates text? And we have four options: 0, 1, text, false. So the right answer here is option A, 0. The third and optional parameter of the path item function is type, which determines the data type of the value it returns. The type parameter defaults to 0, which is text, so I will specify 1 for integer. Question number 75. Which of the following statements about calculated columns in Power BI is false? And we have four options. Option A, a calculated column does not add to the data set size. Option B, calculated column values are stored in the Power BI dataset like those of a standard column. Option C, a calculated column is populated when it's created. Option D, a calculated column's values are updated when the dataset is refreshed. So the right answer here is option A, a calculated column does not add to the dataset size. So a calculated column is populated when it's created and its values are updated when the dataset is refreshed. Calculated column values are stored in the Power BI dataset like those of a standard column. The calculated column can simplify a dataset and make it more efficient by giving you values better suited for your visualizations, but it will add to the dataset size. Question number 76. Roles set up in Power BI desktop in conjunction with dash can restrict access to data model schema objects such as columns and tables. And we have four options: tabular editor, DAX studio, role editor, schema studio. So the right answer here is option A, tabular editor. Roles set up in Power BI desktop in conjunction with the tabular editor can restrict access to data model schema objects such as columns and tables. Question number 77. Which DAX function returns a Cartesian product of the tables it takes as a parameters? And we have four options: join, Cartesian, generate, product. So the right answer here is option C, generate. The documentation for generate says it will return a Cartesian product of the table it takes in as a parameters. Question number 78. Which DAX function is used to specify the date range for a date table? And we have four options: calendar, date range, date. So the right answer here is option A, calendar. In the date view, under table tools, click new table. This opens up a DAX formula bar to enter DAX statements to create a new calculator table. If you want to specify the date range for your date table because you want dates in the future that are currently not part of your data model, use the calendar function specifying start and end dates. Question number 79. What is the second parameter in the DAX function path item? And we have four options. Option A, type. Option B, the text path describing the hierarchy. Option C, the name of the field you are interested in. Option D, the level you wanted to be returned. So the right answer here is option D, the level you want to be returned. Path item takes two mandatory parameters. The first is the text path describing the hierarchy, and the second is the level we want to be returned. Question number 80. What is the first parameter in the DAX function path item? And we have four options. Option A, type. Option B, the text path describing the hierarchy. Option C, the name of the field you are interested in. Option D, the level you wanted to be returned. So the right answer here is option B, the text path describing the hierarchy. The path items takes two mandatory parameters. The first is the text path describing the hierarchy, and the second is the level we wanted to be returned. Question number 81. What is the third parameter in the DAX function path item? And we have four options. Option A, type. Option B, the text path describing the hierarchy. Option C, the name of the field you are interested in. Option D, the level you want to be returned. So the right answer here is option A, type. The third and optional parameter of the path item function is type, which determines the date type of the value it returns. Question number 82. What is the second parameter in the DAX function lookup value? And we have four options. Option A, the name of the field you are interested in. Option B, the value you want to match on. Option C, the field with the value you are searching for. Option D, the table in which to look. So the right answer here is option C, the field with the value you are searching for. Lookup values takes three parameters. the name of the field you are interested in, the field with the value we are searching for, and the value we want to match on. Question number 83. Which DAX function returns the number of parents above a child? And we have four options: parents, path length, num_parents, uptree. So the right answer here is option B, path length. While a function called path length will return the number of parents above the child, there is no way to uppick a path dynamically. Question number 84. Which DAX function is used to look up a value? And we have four options: search, find, lookup value. So the right answer here is option D, lookup value. While knowing an employee's user ID is valid, it will not be great for display purpose. I need to look up the name associated with the ID, and I'll use the lookup value function. So question number 85. Which value for the type parameter in the DAX function path item indicates integer? And we have four options: 0, 1, integer, true. So the right answer here is option B, 1. The third and optional parameter of the path item function is type, which determines the data type of the value it returns. The type parameter defaults to 0, which is text, so I will specify 1 for integer. Question number 86. How can you improve the cardinality of numerical fields containing floating point numbers in Power BI? And we have four options. Option A, change the data type from decimal to fixed decimal where appropriate. Option B, change the data type from fixed decimal to decimal where appropriate. Option C, change the data type from decimal to whole number where appropriate. Option D, change the data type from fixed decimal to whole number where appropriate. So the right answer here is option B, change the data type from fixed decimal to decimal where appropriate. So you can improve the cardinality of numerical field, that is floating point numbers, by changing the data type from decimal to fixed decimal where appropriate. Question number 87. Which of the following statements about a Power BI data model is false? And we have four options. Option A, one-to-many relationships should be avoided. Option B, compound keys should be avoided. Option C, data imported into Power BI are stored as columns. Option D, Power BI's Vertipack engine only stores unique values. So the right answer here is option A, one-to-many relationships should be avoided. Like with relational database, the relationships between tables in the Power BI data model need to be clean and straightforward. So many-to-many relationships should be avoided, as well as compound keys. First and foremost, data imported into Power BI, instead of direct querying of an external data source, are stored as columns rather than rows. Cardinality is the term given to describe the uniqueness of values within a dataset, or in this case a column, as Power BI's Vertipack engine only stores unique values. High cardinality data can negatively impact performance. Question number 88. Which of the following statements about a Power BI data model is false? And we have four options. Option A, high cardinality data can negatively impact performance. Option B, reducing cardinality can reduce the related index data from lookup column values. Option C, more unique values result in smaller indexes. Option D, reducing cardinality can reduce the amount of raw data. So the right answer here is option C. More unique values results in smaller indexes. As Power BI's Vertipack engine only stores unique values, high cardinality data can negatively impact performance. Not only can reducing cardinality reduce the amount of raw data, but it also reduces the related index data for looking up columns values. Fewer unique value means small indexes, which translates into faster performance. Question number 89. Which Power BI performance analyzer metric is the time in milliseconds between when the data is requested and when the results are returned to the report? And we have four options: visual display, other, DAX query, granularity. So the right answer here is option C, DAX query. Performance Analyzer measures the processing time, including the time to create or update a visual, required to update report elements initiated as a result of any user interaction that results in running a query. For example, adjusting a slicer requires the slicer visual to be modified, a query to be sent to the data model, and affected visuals to be updated as a result of the new settings. If an element is using a DAX query, which includes not only calculated measures but requesting any data from the model, it is the time in milliseconds from requesting the data to when the results are returned to the report. Question number 90. Microsoft recommends that you design Power BI data models with exactly the right number of columns based on the known dash requirements. So we have four options: performance, normalization, reporting, storage. So the right answer here is option C, reporting. Microsoft says we recommend that you design models with exactly the right number of columns based on the known reporting requirements. Question number 91. The uniqueness of values within a dataset is known as, and we have four options: the U value, the index value, cardinality, aggregation. So the right answer here is option C, cardinality. Cardinality is the term given to describe the uniqueness of values within a dataset, or in this case, a column. Question number 92. Which of the following actions is not a way to reduce data volume in Power BI? And we have four options. Option A, replace raw data with aggregations and summaries. Option B, reduce the number of unique values in the data. Option C, Reduce the number of rows and columns in the model. Option D. Introducing compound keys to the schema. So the right answer here is option D, introducing compound keys to the schema. Data volume reduction is accomplished in three ways. First, we reduce the amount of raw data by reducing the number of rows and columns in the model. Secondly, we shrink the model by reducing the number of unique values in the data. Finally, we can replace raw data with aggregations and summaries, reducing the size and increasing responsiveness. Question number 93. Which Power BI performance analyzer metric is the amount of time it takes for a graphical element to be rendered on screen? And we have four options: visual display, other, DX query, granularity. So the right answer here is option A, visual display. By using the performance analyzer, you can see and record logs that measure how each of your report elements performs when users interact with them and which aspects of their performance are most resource intensive. Visual display shows the amount of time for the graphical element to be rendered on screen. Question number 94. In the DAX Studio, the percent table and percent DB columns that tell you what percentage of the table and what percentage of the database each column accounts for are useful for. And we have four options. Option A, identifying low cardinality data that can be normalized to improve performance. Option B, identifying duplicated or redundant data that can be eliminated entirely or replaced with measures. Option C, identifying the best candidates for primary keys. Option D, suggesting the most efficient data design schema. So the right answer is option B, identifying duplicated or redundant data that can be eliminated entirely or replaced with measures. Over on the right hand side, we have got percent table and percent DB columns that tell us what percentage of the table and what percentage of the database each column accounts for. This is very handy for identifying low hanging fruit in terms of duplicated or redundant data that can be eliminated entirely or replaced with measures. Question number 95. Which of the following option is not a metric recorded by Power BI Performance Analyzer? And we have four options. Option A, resolution. Option B, other. Option C, visual display. Option D, DX query. So the right answer here is option A, resolution. Clicking on Performance Analyzer opens a new pane where you click Start Recording and then refresh the report. This report is made up of multiple card elements with text box titles, and Performance Analyzer records the same three metrics for each visual element. They are DX query, visual display, and other. Question number 96. Which Power BI Performance Analyzer metrics includes the time for visual elements to prepare queries and the time waiting for other visual elements to complete rendering or perform some other processing. And we have four options. Option A, visual display. Option B, other. Option C, DAX query. Option D, granularity. So the right answer here is option B, other. Other seems to be like a bit of catch-all category. Microsoft says it's the time for visual elements to prepare queries, time waiting for other visual elements to complete rendering or performing some other processing. Question number 97. In most cases, data is aggregated by dash in Power BI. And we have four options: city, address, date, email. So the right answer here is option C, date. In most cases, data is aggregated by date, where we lose the time component from a transaction and all transactions fall into the same day bucket. Question number 98. To get the most out of an aggregation table in Power BI, you should set the storage mode to, and we have four options: cache, report, direct query, import. So the right answer here is option D, import. You should change the storage mode from direct query to import to get the most out of your aggregation table. An imported table will be in a local memory, which is much faster to access than hitting the original data source. Question number 99. Power BI Desktop has a dash tool found under the View tab, which can be used to record the time taken for each of the processes required to render a report to complete. And we have four options: simulation, performance analyzer, reporting analytics, DAX Studio. So the right answer here is option B, performance analyzer. Power BI Desktop has a performance analyzer tool found under the View tab, which can be used to record the time taken for each of the processes required to render a report to complete. Question number 100. Which of the following statements about Power BI reports is false? And we have four options. Option A, a report can be filtered based on relevant criteria. Option B, a report is made up of multiple dashboards. Option C, data that is visualized on a report can be interactive. Option D, a report can combine charts, tables, and text. So the right answer here is option B, a report is made up of multiple dashboards. The reports can be made up of things like charts, text, values, and tables. Data that are visualized on the report can be interactive with each other. For example, you may put a slicer into a report that will filter based on a date range. When you move the slicer, it will change the data that is shown on the page. The Power BI report is fully interactive from a user perspective and it can be filtered based on relevant criteria. Question number 101. Which type of chart in Power BI is beneficial for helping you visualize data over time? And we have four options: tree maps, stacked column charts, line charts, pie charts. So the right answer here is option C, line charts. The line charts are area charts are beneficial for helping you visualize data over time. Question number 102. Some common sources for Power BI report dash are Excel files, SQL databases, CSV files, or API connections. And we have four options: dashboards, tiles, user accounts, data sets. So the right answer here is option D, data sets. Some common sources for data sets are Excel files, SQL databases, CSV files, or API connections. Question number 103. What is a card in Power BI? And we have four options. Option A link to a Python visual. Option B, a tile that shows a chart. Option C, a display of a number. Option D, a link to an R package. So the right answer here is option C, a display of a number. A card is basically a display of a number. Question number 104. In Power BI, a dash chart is basically a pie chart with its middle cut out. And we have four options. Option A, donut, wheel, ring, bagel. So the right answer here is option A, donut. Question number 105. Which of the following statements about Power BI reports is false? And we have four options. Option A, Power BI reports can be published to the public. Option B, Power BI reports can be published for use within your organization. Option C, if you are using live data on your dataset, every time you change something on your report, you will need to re-query the dataset. Option D, you can have only one page in a report. So the right answer here is option D, you can have only one page in a report. If you are using live data on a large data set, it can make your report sluggish and also put a lot of load onto the server or location that your dataset is stored on. This is because every time you change something on your report, you will need to re-query the dataset. One thing to note is that you can only use one dataset per Power BI report, but you can have multiple pages in your report. Power BI reports can be published for use within your organization or published to the public. Question number 106. Which of the following languages can be added to a Power BI report? And we have four options: Go, Crystal, Python, Java. So the right answer here is option C, Python. R and Python can be added to your Power BI report. Question number 107. What is the primary difference between groups and bins in Power BI? And we have four options. Option A, groups use outliers detection, bins use anomaly detection. Option B, groups classify continuous data, bins classify categorical data. Option C, groups classify categorical data, bins classify continuous data. Option D, groups use anomaly detection, bins use outlier detection. So the right answer here is option C, groups classify categorical data, bins classify continuous data. The primary difference between the groups and the bins is that groups classify categorical data while bins allow you to classify continuous data. Question number 108. You can think of Dash in Power BI as a special case of outlier detection where Power BI tries to determine from your dataset which other factors contribute to, or at least you are associated with, the anomaly's data point. We have four options: anomaly forecasting, anomaly influencers, key influencers, anomaly detection. So the right answer here is option D, anomaly detection. You can think of anomaly detection as a special case of outlier detection that currently only works with time series data in a line graph that displays a single metric. You can think of anomaly detection as outlier detection plus or extra, where Power BI tries to determine from your mindset dataset which other factor contributes to, or at least are associated with, the anomaly's data point. Question number 109. Power BI's Dash visualization uses AI and machine learning to determine which factors in your data contribute to or drive a metric you are analyzing. And we have four options: segment analysis, AI insights, key influencers, decomposition tree. So the right answer here is option C, key influencers. Power BI's key influencers visualization uses AI and machine learning to determine which factors in your data contribute to or drive a metric you are analyzing. Question number 110. When you are looking for outliers, Z scores above dash are a good starting point. And we have four options: 100, 30, 10, 3. So the right answer here is option D, 3. So when you're looking for outliers, Z scores above 3 are a good starting point. So question number 111. What is an outlier? And we have four options. Option A, a factor in your data that coordinates to or drives a metric you are analyzing. Option B, at least squares regression analysis requiring an independent variable. Option C, a value in the tails of a bell curve described by X number of standard deviations from the average expressed as a Z score. Option D, a data values plus the average of all data values divided by the standard deviation. So the right answer here is option C, a value in the tails of a bell curve described by X number of standard deviations from the average expressed as a Z score. Outliers are values in the tails of the bell curve described by X number of standard deviations from the average expressed as Z scores. Question number 112. In Power BI forecasting, the dash parameter is the number of data points you want to forecast in the future. And we have four options. Option A, confidence level. Option B, forecasting length. Option C, ignore the last. And option D, group size. So the right answer here is option B, forecasting length. So forecasting length is the number of data points you want to forecast into the future. Question number 113. Which feature in Power BI's AI Insights is a rating between 0 and 1 indicating the negativity or positivity of the next text in question? And we have four options. Option A, extract key phrases. Option B, text analysis. Option C, positivity analysis. And option D, sentiment analysis. So the right answer here is option D, sentiment analysis. Within cognitive services, there are four operations available to us, including detect language, which will try to determine the text language, and score sentiment, which is a rating between 0 and 1 indicating the negativity or positivity of the text in question. Question number 114. Which feature in Power BI's AI Insights analyzes text fields for meaningful words and phrases? And we have four options. Option A, extract key phrases. Option B, sentiment analysis. Option C, text analysis. And option D, natural language processing. So the right answer here is option A, extract key phrases. Within cognitive services, there are four operations available to us, including extract key phrases, which analyzes text field for meaningful words and phrases. Question number 115. In Power BI anomaly detection, the dash section is where you can drop other fields that Power BI can display as contributing factors to the anomaly. And we have four options: explain by, sensitivity, potential factors, fluctuations. So the right answer here is option A, explain by. Below sensitivity, we have an explain by section where you can drop other fields that Power BI can display as contributing factors to the anomaly. So question number 116. Find anomalies is found in the dash pane of Power BI. And we have four options: visualize, format, analytics, selection. So the right answer here is option C, analytics. Find anomalies is found in the analytics pane, and if you don't have your graph correctly set up, there will be a warning symbol on the right with the function disabled. So question number 117. In Power BI forecasting, the dash parameter determines the size of the shaded area around the predicted line. And we have four options. Option A, forecasting length. Option B, confidence level. Option C, Ignore the last, option D, time series. So the right answer here is option B, confidence level. The confidence level relates to the shaded area around the predicted line. The higher the confidence, the greater the area. So question number 118. In Power BI decomposition tree, the dash analysis type divides the metric being analyzed by the number of distinct items in a column or category. Then it works out where the biggest difference between the largest and average value is. And we have four options: categorical, relative, absolute, continuous. So the right answer here is option B, relative. Question number 119. In Power BI's decomposition tree, the starting point is the analysis field with the dash sign, where you select how you want to split your data down to the next level. And we have the following four signs. So the right answer here is option B. Question number 120. Which feature in Power BI's AI Insights tries to determine the language in which some text is written? And we have four options: sentiment analysis, extract language, detect language, language analysis. So the right answer here is option C, detect language. Within cognitive services, there are four operations available to us, including detect language, which will try to determine the text language, and score sentiment, which is a rating between 0 and 1, indicating the negativity or positivity of the text in question. Question number 121. Which feature in Power BI's AI Insights uses machine learning and AI to come up with a brief textual description of a picture? And we have four options. Option A, sentiment analysis. Option B, tag images. Option C, image analysis. And option D, extract image. So the right answer here is option B, tag images. Within cognitive services, there are four operations available to us. Tag images uses machine learning and AI to come up with a brief textual description of a picture. Question number 122. Which Power BI license type is the standard license for enterprise deployments in Power BI and allows users with a free license to interact with content in that workspace? And we have four options: embedded, premium per capacity, premium per user, pro. So the right answer here is option B, premium per capacity. Premium per capacity is the standard license for enterprise deployments in Power BI and allows users with a free license to interact with content in that workspace. Question number 123. Which of the following list presents the phases of Power BI report creation in correct order? And we have four options. Option A, analyze, define, develop, test, deploy. Option B, test, development, test, production. Option C, requirements, design, implementation. Option D, development, test, production. So the right answer here is option D, development, test, production. The first step in report creation is the development step. Once content has been finalized, it's moved into the second step of the life cycle, which is called the test phase. The final step in the report development life cycle is the production step. Question number 124. Which Power BI workspace user role is the only one impacted by row level security? And we have four options. Option A, viewer. Option B, contributor. Option C, admin. And option D, member. So the right answer here is option A, viewer. Viewers are the only members impacted by row level security and are used mostly for testing these functionality. Question number 125. Which Power BI workspace user role has the highest authority and runs the workspace? And we have four options: viewer, contributor, admin, member. So the right answer here is option C, admin. So there are four distinct roles a user can have in a given workspace in order of capability. They are admin, member, contributor, and viewer. Workspace admins have the highest role available and as such can take any and all actions available to them. The actions unique to admins are that they can add and remove other workspace admins. They can also update or delete the workspace and give permissions to contributors to update a workspace app. Question number 126. In Power BI, a dash bring report content directly to a user email. And we have four options. Option A, roles. Option B, sensitivity labels. Option C, subscriptions. And option D, deployment pipelines. So the right answer here is option C, subscriptions. There are tools available in Power BI for bringing report content directly to a user's email. These are called subscriptions. Question number 127. Which Power BI license type enables Power BI content to be hosted on a custom application outside the Power BI web portal? And we have four options: embedded, premium per capacity, premium per user, pro. So the right answer here is option A, embedded. There are currently four licenses types available to be linked to a workspace. The last license type is the embedded type, which enables Power BI content to be hosted on a custom application outside the Power BI web portal. Question number 128. Which type of Power BI workspace should only be used for the ad hoc reporting and projects that aren't intended for any kind of distribution? And we have four options: My Workspace, App Workspaces, Dashboard Workspaces, Development Workspaces. So the right answer here is option A, My Workspace. There are two kinds of workspaces that exist in Power BI. The first type is known as My Workspace, which is also called a personal workspace. They should only be used for ad hoc reporting and projects that aren't intended for any kind of distribution. Question number 129. Which Power BI license type is the standard license required for the most Power BI development work? And we have four options: embedded, premium per capacity, premium per user, pro. So the right answer here is option D, pro. There are currently four license types available to be linked to a workspace. The first license type is Pro, which is the standard license required for most Power BI development work. Question number 130. Which Power BI workspace user role is the only one that can add and remove workspace admins? And we have four options. Option A, viewer. Option B, contributor. Option C, admin. And option D, member. So the right answer here is option C, admin. The actions unique to admins are that they can add and remove other workspace admins. Question number 131. Which of the following option is not a Microsoft 365 sensitivity label? And the options we have: public, highly confidential, general, none. So the right answer here is option A, public. So in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, there is the ability to create sensitivity labels to provide additional visibility on documents that an organization would want to mark as highly confidential or confidential. These labels include highly confidential, confidential, general, personal, and none. Question number 132. Which type of Power BI workspace is used to maintain and secure business reports and Power BI assets? And we have four options: business workspaces, secure workspaces, app workspaces, my workspace. So the right answer here is option C, app workspaces. There are two kinds of workspaces that exist in Power BI. The first type is known as My Workspace, which is also called a personal workspace. The other type of workspace, which are the main workspaces of Power BI, are called App Workspaces or Simple Workspaces. These are used to maintain and secure business reports and Power BI assets. Question number 133. In Power BI, dash content is sanctioned or federated by the business for official use and represents the highest endorsement available in Power BI. And we have the following options: highly confidential, sensitive, certified, promoted. So the right answer here is option C, certified. Certified content is the highest designation available to Power BI content. It should be regarded as authoritative in that it meets the organization's highest quality standards. We can think of these content as federated or sanctioned for consumption and use. Question number 134. The purpose of dash in a Power BI is to automate the movement of Power BI content from a workspace designated as development to a workspace designated as test, and finally to a workspace designated as production. And we have the following options: subscriptions, promoting certifying Power BI content, deployment pipelines, sensitivity labels. So the right answer here is option C, deployment pipelines. The purpose of deployment pipelines is to automate the movement of Power BI content from a workspace designated as development to a workspace designated as test, and finally to a workspace designated as production. So question number 135. In Power BI only, Dash can create subscriptions that send reports to other users. And we have four options. Option A, workspace members and Power BI admins. Option B, workspace contributors and Power BI admins. Option C, report creators and Power BI admins. Option D, Power BI admins. So the right answer here is option C, report creators and Power BI admins. Only report creators and Power BI admins have the ability to create subscriptions that send reports to other users. Question number 136. Which Power BI feature allows user to make Power BI content more visible or sanctioned to an organization? And we have four options: subscriptions, promoting certifying Power BI content, deployment pipelines, sensitivity labels. So the right answer here is option B, promoting certifying Power BI content. In addition to sensitivity labels, we can apply other labels to Power BI content to help it become more visible or sanctioned to our organization. This is called promoting or certifying Power BI content. So question number 137. Which Power BI global option relates to the security and authenticity of connections to online data sources and gives you the option comprehensive, basic, and none? And we have four options: certificate revocation, data extensions, privacy, a web preview warning level. So the right answer here is option A, certificate revocation. Certificate revocation relates to the security and authenticity of connections to online data source. The comprehensive check will reject revoked certificates or certificates without revocation data. The basic check will reject revoked certificates and ignore certificates with no revocation information. None will not check certificates for revocation, allowing all valid certificates. Question number 138. What are the two flavors of Microsoft's data gateway for Windows PCs? And we have four options. Option A, standard and personal. Option B, standard and premium. Option C, personal and enterprise. And option D, personal and developer. So the right answer here is option A, standard and personal. Microsoft Data Gateway, available via a link at powerbi.com, comes in two flavors, standard and personal, for Windows PCs. So question number 139. To invoke a Power BI dataset refreshing using the invoke Power BI REST method, PowerShell command, what do you pass in for the second parameter? And we have four options. Option A, get. Option B, JSON with some extra parameters. Option C, the API URL with the unique ID of the workspace and dataset guides embedded in it. And option D, post. So the right answer here is option D, post. The command invoke Power BI REST method takes three parameters. URL is the API URL with the unique ID of the workspace and dataset guides embedded in it. Method is post and body is JSON with some extra parameters. Question number 140. Which PowerShell command can be used to invoke a Power BI dataset refresh? And we have four options. Option A, invoke Power BI REST method. Option B, invoke Power BI refresh. Option C, invoke Power BI dataset refresh. And option D, invoke Power BI dataset. So the right answer here is option A, invoke Power BI REST method. You can invoke a dataset refreshing using the API via a PowerShell command, code, or a Power Apps flow job. Let's look at using invoke Power BI REST method via PowerShell. The command invoke Power BI reset method takes three parameters. URL is the API URL with the unique ID of the workspace and dataset guides embedded in it. Method is post and body is JSON with some extra parameters. Question number 141. Which Power BI global option determines whether Power BI will automatically create date hierarchies on date time fields on an imported model? And we have four options. Option A, hierarchy intelligence. Option B, date time. Option C, time intelligence. Option D, imported models. So the right answer here is option C, time intelligence. Time intelligence determines whether Power BI will automatically create date hierarchies on date time fields on an imported model. So question number 142. Which Power BI global option relates to connectors for various data sources? And we have four options: data sources, connectors, regional settings, data extensions. So the right answer here is option D, data extensions. So data extensions relate to connectors for various data sources. Question number 143. Which Power BI global option allows you to turn features new to Power BI desktop on and off? And we have four options: UI settings, beta, new, preview. So the right answer here is option D, preview. Preview feature allow you to turn on and off features new to Power BI desktop. Question number 144. Which Power BI global option relates to protecting you from malicious scripts that could be found inside some data sources? And we have four options. Option A, web preview warning level. Option B, certificate revocation. Option C, data extensions. And option D, privacy. So the right answer here is option A, a web preview warning level. The web preview warning level is similar in concept of security levels found in Windows Control Panel Internet Properties Security tab and relates to protecting you from malicious scripts that could be found inside some data sources. Question number 145. Which part of Microsoft's data gateways configuration allows you to set up additional logging and export the gateway logs? And we have four options. Option A, diagnostics. Option B, logging, export, service settings. So the right answer here is option A, diagnostics. This is where you can add the new gateway to an existing cluster. Clicking configure finalizes the gateway setup. Diagnostics enables us to set up additional logging, export the gateway logs, and perform diagnostic network port tests. Question number 146. A gateway dash is two or more gateways that act as one, providing redundancy and improving throughput. And we have four options: group, partnership, bridge, cluster. So the right answer here is option D, cluster. A gateway cluster is two or more gateways that acts as one, providing redundancy and improving throughput, and so a high availability solution. Question number 147. Once a Microsoft Data Gateway is installed on the same network as your data source, you can set up the Power BI end of the gateway connection by making sure dash. And we have four options. Option A, the names of the data source connections are identical to those defined in the data set. Option B, both the IP addresses and the server names are specified in both the data sources connections and the data set. Option C, the IP address is specified in the data source connections and the server name is specified in the data set. Option D, the server name is specified in the data source connections and the IP address is specified in the data set. So the right answer here is option A, the names of the data source connections are identical to those defined in the data set. Microsoft Data Gateway, available via a link at powerbi.com, comes in two flavors, standard and personal. For Windows PCs, once it is installed on the same network as your data source, you can set up the Power BI end of the gateway connection by making sure the names of the data source connections are identical to those defined in the dataset. Question number 148. Which of the following methods is not a way you can invoke a Power BI dataset refresh? And we have four options: PowerShell command, Power Apps flow job, code, using a workspace, refresh. So the right answer here is option D, using a workspace refresher. You can invoke a dataset refresh using the API via a PowerShell command, code, or a Power Apps flow job. Question number 149. In Power BI, a standard account will let you refresh up to dash times daily. And we have four options: 8, 24, 48, 192. So the right answer here is option A, 8. We can configure a refresh schedule by clicking on the rectangle with the refresh symbol on the bottom left. Alternatively, you can instigate an on-demand manual data refresh by clicking the circular arrow to the left. The refresh frequency is daily or weekly, and you can refresh a dataset 8 times a day with a standard Power BI account or 48 times every half hour with a premium account. Question number 150. Which Power BI global option enables you to set the language used in the Power BI desktop application and the language used in the data model? And we have four options: language intelligence, languages, regional settings, imported models. So the right answer here is option C, regional settings. Regional settings enable you to set the language used in the Power BI desktop application and the language used in the data model.